One, I would, oh, there we go. All right. Welcome, everyone. My name is Laurie Larson-Caesar. I'm Bishop of the Oregon Synod. We have been doing a series of conversations with new rostered leaders in the Oregon Synod and finding them to be rich and meaningful, a nice way to introduce new folks into our communion. And today I'm excited to introduce Pastor Paul Strike. He's been serving New Life Lutheran in Florence for almost a year and a half. We're a little behind in these conversations, as you can see, but he was gracious and said, yes, it's been a while. I've been here. Sure, we need to do this. Yes. Okay. I'll have a conversation with you. So thank you, Paul. I am curious. I know a few things about you, but not enough. I know you grew up in Iowa and you ended up at Yale Divinity School. So can you share a little bit about how your call story unfolded?
Yeah, so I grew up at Nazareth Evangelical Lutheran Church in Cedar Falls, which is a big, it's a big Lutheran church. And what really kind of started, or what was kind of like the basis of my call began when I had an opportunity, along with a number of high school seniors, to take part in the annual Good Friday service. So every year, NAS collaborates with other churches in the Cedar Falls area, and they select a number of high school seniors to give little messages based on the 7 last sayings of Jesus. And so I was afforded the opportunity to give a little 5-minute homily on the saying, "It is finished." So quite an epic opportunity, I think. And just the really, for me, not just kind of like learning what a homily or what a sermon was, but just the actual giving of it was something that really sparked my sense of, oh, this is something that feels really, I don't know if right is the right word for that, but it felt special. It felt kind of otherworldly. It felt a little bit of something other than normal, I suppose.
Yeah, so, and an honor to be asked. It sounds like just a few were asked.
Absolutely, yes, yeah. And so from there, I kind of decided, well, I'm just gonna see what happens with this sense of call, right? So I went into undergrad at Drake University in Des Moines, Iowa, as a music major, math minor, but always with the thought that I would go into ministry. And so I went through that. I did a year of Lutheran Volunteer Corps. After graduating from Drake, I was over in Seattle for that. So I served at Gethsemane Lutheran Church in downtown Seattle, where I did some help with the programming at the church, but focused a lot of my time and attention on the Saturday morning soup and movies program they had with the unhoused community in downtown, as well as helped to form a week-long kind of summer camp for kiddos who were from the different, say, like Section 8 housing and the homeless shelter that also met, or the unhoused shelter that met in the Gethsemane Lutheran Church basement at the time. So those were kind of formative experiences for me to see, oh, this is a different aspect of ministry that I had not experienced before. But
you remember, and you weren't very old still, you were in your early 20s.
Yeah, I was 22, 23, yeah.
Did you have any aha, like what were some of your ahas?
My ahas there, well, not to stereotype the straight white male thing about coming from the Midwest, but having, being around people who are a good deal different from me and getting to talk with them about experiences shared and otherwise really kind of opened up my eyes to worlds that I did not really know. But along with that, just the experience serving at Gethsemane, it introduced me to a different type of way of doing ministry as well. So I would say they're a little bit more, I don't like to say like high liturgical, but I grew up in a church that, did communion once a month. There are about 3,000 members there. I went to the contemporary service. And so being in a smaller community like Gethsemane, that was, that focused a lot on kind of a, more traditional based liturgy, but using modern language, that did communion twice a week, once at a Wednesday service,
Wow.
once on a Sunday. Those were things that continued to then also shape what I thought ministry would be,
Yeah.
especially as a rostered leader.
Yeah. What a
Yeah.
perfect fit for you to stretch you in different ways.
Yes, and I am grateful for any patience and help that I got along the way from the pastors and the intern there at the time.
Totally. We all need that at that stage. So was your decision to attend Yale kind of immediate? And how did you find yourself going in that direction?
Yeah, so I was thinking I would go to Wartburg, actually. So go home. For me is that Warburg's about an hour and a half away from my hometown.
And that's a seminary, one of our seminaries.
Yes, one of our ELCA seminaries, which I eventually went back to. That's a little bit later in the story, but the pastors at Gethsemane actually were associated with Harvard. One of them graduated from Harvard, and then the other one was kind of a campus, not a campus minister, but served at the church right next to Harvard, and then acted as a little bit of a kind of a Lutheran director of studies, or something to that effect. So they kind of told me, hey, like, Wartburg's a great school, but why don't you think about, or at least kind of poke your head into the Ivy League system and see kind of what what might be calling out to you there. So Yale for me was a place where I grew up in a very ecumenical, with the sense of being around a lot of different friends with different kind of Christian beliefs specifically. So Yale was kind of a good fit because they are very ecumenically grounded, I would say. So it
And
kind of,
musical, don't they have that Institute of Sacred Music?
they do have the Institute of Sacred Music, yes. I did not get involved at the ISM because I was still pretty darn burned out from my music grad. So like that just is what it is.
Yep.
In another life, I would go back
Yes.
and ISM studies, but
Yes, well into your retirement, you can go back and be a fellow or something.
hey, why not? Why not? So I studied at Yale for 3 years. So the way that works is at divinity schools or non-ELCA seminaries is that you just study for 3 straight years. And then after that, I actually ended up going back to Wartburg Seminary for a semester to do Lutheran studies. And then from there, Wartburg sent me out to the Oregon coast, of all places, a place that I had never been to in my life.
And how was that?
It was wonderful. So I was an intern down at Gloria Dei Lutheran Church in Coos Bay. And Wartburg had 9 interns there before me. And so then I became the 10th. I went there in January of 2019, and I was there through about October of 2019. And it was a really wonderful experience. I was just thinking about this yesterday, thinking about the smell of wood chips, the smell of like wood dust that you get when you go down 101, right by kind of like right by the Mill Casino, and there you will always see a big old pile of wood chips and wood dust, and it just hits you, and it's such a good smell. yeah, so I kind of started out with that smell, and had a really great internship there under so my supervisor was Pastor John Strassman, who is now departed this synod over and is in Wisconsin. But yeah, had a great internship, met a lot of really wonderful people at Gloria Dei and the Coos Bay North Bend area.
Did you have any ahas? You probably had some that it was been a while. Any ahas
Yeah,
in that context?
well, I think that, you know, Gloria Dei is a really interesting congregation in that their their members are really involved, and they're very active. And the thing about the Oregon Coast is that a lot of people on the Oregon Coast are also, in retirement age. And while that's kind of a constant theme in ELCA churches, it's like especially so on the coast.
Okay. Yep.
And so it was really interesting to do, just run into, 80-year-olds who are just doing 8 different things, but who are just full of life, full of wisdom. And I think that I kind of learned that I needed to listen, right? So, of course, being a young pastor, you think, oh, I have so much knowledge I need to impart upon upon the people, right, that I'm called to serve. But it's just as much of learning to listen, learning to be, as it is, learning to lead as
Yes.
well.
Yes.
Mhm.
And you had an opportunity to step into leadership in a different way when John Strassman took a call elsewhere and your internship wasn't quite over, right? You stepped in to fill the gap in a way.
That's right. I had about
Yeah.
2 months where I was kind of the pastoral presence, if you will. So that was a really interesting couple of months. And of course, people still saw me as the intern. So I don't think they had much higher expectations of me immediately, now that John had left. But just being able to, figure out pulpit supply and communion and help to do some logistical things, but also being somebody that ended up, I ended up presiding over a funeral in that time. So that was the first time I presided over a funeral.
Yeah.
And then just providing pastoral care and other just kind of performing different aspects of the role during that. Really
And
interesting.
giving them much needed stability.
Yeah. Well, I hope so.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah. I served as a little bit of a bridge until they got their interim pastor.
Yep.
A little after I left. Yeah, Pastor Peggy.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then your journey started to follow your spouses a little bit geographically.
Yes. So I met Pastor Logan. So Logan is also an ELCA pastor. She is currently serving at Florence United Methodist Church. So same town, fortunately, but and also serving with an ecumenical partner, which is awesome. Yes. So Logan graduated from Yale. That's where we met. Logan graduated from Yale in 2020. So we were a couple of years different. So I ended up moving out after my time in Coos Bay. I ended up moving out to New York to be a little bit closer to her as she finished up her studies. So while there, I actually served at an 8-point parish.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow, an 8-point parish? How does that work?
The jury's still out. But it's really interesting. So they have a number of psalms that serve in the parish, and the way it kind of works on Sundays is you have 4 people go to 2 different churches on a given Sunday. So for me at that point in time, doing the preaching and worship leading, and then helping with some education stuff and pastoral care stuff once, and making calls once, at that point in time, early 2020 was when the pandemic really sprouted up about 70, 80 miles down the road from where I was. It was kind of it was a scary time, but it was a time where I was simply there to help the other pastors who were at the parish, and just kind of do kind of my part.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And pivot to a lot of phone calls probably, and teaching people maybe Zoom eventually.
Yes, yeah,
Wow.
they
Yeah.
got onto Zoom pretty quickly.
Mhm.
I still hate phone calls, so that says something about people are more adaptable. People are more adaptable than you might think, and
Yep.
some people are less adaptable than you might think. But
Yes.
yeah.
And
Mhm.
so Logan had to do her internship, but when that was completed, you landed in Florence.
Yes. So we were up in Duluth, Minnesota, after Logan's graduation. We were up
Yep.
there for a year, which is
Yep.
where Logan did her internship. Yep. And then we ended up in Florence. We have been here since September of 2020. Or no, is it 20? Oh gosh.
Must be
No, 2021.
2021.
Oh gosh. All right. Man.
So in September of 2021. So you had to start when the pandemic was in fits and starts.
Yes, that's
Yep.
right. Mm-hmm.
And what are some of the joys you're finding both at New Life in Florence and in the town itself? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what are some
Yeah.
delightful surprises, maybe?
Yes. Well, Florence is situated in a very beautiful area. So, of course, right to the south is the Oregon Dunes National Recreation Area. Just to the east is the Siuslaw National Forest, and then pretty much about a couple miles that way is the ocean. So you can't really beat that.
Yeah.
There are lots of opportunities for getting out, and I'm a runner, so I love to run on dirt trails, and this is a nice place to do that.
Oh, that's great. Like trail running?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes. I've really enjoyed my time at New Life. As a first call pastor, I didn't really know quite what to expect being a pastor, as opposed to, say, an intern or a Sam or a Psalm.
Mm-hmm.
Different sets of responsibilities, it turns out.
Turns out.
Yes, it turns out. But I found that I really love, leading worship on Sundays. I really, my musical background continues to be useful, and
In planning liturgy.
Yep. Yes, and kind of just thinking about different opportunities for the congregation, and then also the community as well.
Yeah, were you in a community play or musical production? I forget. You were in something.
Yes, I was in the pit orchestra for the community musical. Yes.
Which was what? What was the musical?
It was Sweet Charity.
Sweet Charity.
Sweet
And what's your
Charity.
instrument, Paul?
My instrument is the trombone.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. But
So how was it playing in Sweet Charity?
Oh, it was, oh my gosh, so much time. You and I saw each other in the midst of the shows that were going on. We did 7 shows, and I was tired because it takes about like 3 weeks of just every night rehearsals, like 6 to question mark, right?
Wow.
And plenty of rehearsals before that, just to get a little bit more familiar with the music. But I've also for last year been the conductor of the community orchestra as well.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's also a real joy of mine. So to be able to wave a stick around. And
Yes.
yeah, it's been a
Oh,
lot of
I'm glad. So your joy is coming back after all that intense work as an undergrad.
Yes, it is. It is. So just trying to find my little trying to find my niches and uh get involved in projects that I really kind of just enjoy.
Mhm.
Is yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But besides that, serving at New Life, I think that I was open to kind of whatever was ahead in a call. I didn't really have any like specific thoughts about, oh, I really want to get into, say, like, campus ministry or this or that.
Mhm.
So coming out here was really interesting just because in any church, you'll just have a number of different things that you find out, those are things that you as a pastor get to work with and are involved
Yep.
with.
Yep.
So some of my joys there have been the partnerships that the church has with the preschool.
Mhm.
So there's a preschool that rents a big chunk of our space, and we've had a long relationship with them. So I go over and tell Bible stories to them. And actually, I just led a prayer at they did a late Christmas pageant today. So I
Oh,
got to,
wow.
it was a lot of fun. You really can't be mad when you see a bunch of 3 and 4-year-olds with big antlers on their heads, sparkling ones like that. So that was good. And then also the relationship with the food share. So the local food bank is really strong because the food bank rents, or they lease the land and the property and the building that they're on from us for $1 a year.
Mm.
So that's been the case for about 30 years at this point.
Wow.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then just kind of the ecumenical ties that are around town as well. So we
Yeah.
have a Methodist church, we have an Episcopal church, and we have a Presbyterian church that we do a yearly spiritual renewal weekend that takes place in Lent. And so that'll involve a speaker, and that'll involve collective worship together.
My goodness.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
a retreat, but you stay in place, you stay in your own homes. Yeah.
Yeah.
What
So
a lovely thing.
yes. So it involves a few workshops by the speakers, and then they're the ones who kind of offer a sermon during the worship the following day. So it's a lot of fun. So this year we have Reverend Dr. Randy Woodley,
Oh,
who
how great.
yeah. So he does a lot of theological work at the intersection of indigenous spirituality and Christianity. So and kind of the decolonization movement as well. So it's going to be really interesting.
That'll be rich and amazing.
Mhm. Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's probably over time according to our powers that be, but I loved hearing those stories. I love introducing you to the larger synod, and everyone who is connected to the Oregon Synod Facebook page. Thank you for your ministry. Thank you for this time. I will be holding you in prayer, and invite me sometime to be part of one of these things. I'd love to be down there. It is a gorgeous place to visit.
Oh yeah, absolutely, Bishop Laurie. Yeah.
Okay, Pastor Paul Strike, thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.